Hi, I'm Darren and welcome to New Factory Classics, and today we're going to talk about Captain America Brave New World. Now this will be my review that has spoilers for the movie, so if you haven't seen it or you don't want it ruined, please turn off this video right now. So I'm going to start off with an overview of the film, then we're going to cover where each character is going after this movie, and then I'll give you my thoughts on the future. So Sam Wilson is Captain America in this movie. He's taking over for Chris Evans' Steve Rogers as he was given the shield at the end of Endgame. So there's been some plot for Sam in between, in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but more importantly, this movie is about the world coming to accept Sam as Captain America. So Sam Wilson and Joaquin Torres are having to deal with some sort of secret villain that's causing a lot of chaos through the United States. And it turns out that that villain is the Leader, a person who last showed up in the Hulk movies about 15 years ago. A lot of the audience was probably really confused about what was going on because very few people watched either of the Hulk movies. Yes, the Leader is manipulating men and women by using mind control to make them commit murder, and he's trying to lead President Thunderbolt Ross into going crazy and specifically hulking out. So the situation gets more and more stressful for President Thunderbolt Ross until eventually, at the end, he is completely manipulated by the Leader and he becomes the Red Hulk. And now it is up to Sam in order to defeat the Hulk, which is actually impossible because the only person who can defeat the Hulk is the person lying within. And there are plenty of other plot lines going on in this movie too. Sam learning to accept the fact that he is Captain America, the world learning to accept the fact that Captain America is no longer Steve Rogers, Joaquin Torres learning to become the Falcon, and the Leader trying to manipulate everyone and get his revenge on President Ross. Another plot line in this movie is the fact that the Celestial is still sticking out of the ocean. Yes, that giant Celestial that lived inside of Earth at the end of the Eternals is still standing there. And all the countries in the world are trying to get a hold of that adamantium so they can use it for their own science and weapons. The whole movie revolves around President Thunderbolt Ross trying to get a treaty signed for all the countries to work together and all mine it and use the ore for their own goods and not fighting over it. Unfortunately, the Leader is trying to manipulate everyone and specifically get Thunderbolt Ross to become the Red Hulk and destroy world peace. But the fact is that Thunderbolt Ross kind of deserves the treatment that he's getting from the Leader. He kidnapped him, locked him in a cell, and made him work on science projects for him. In fact, the Leader is the only reason why Thunderbolt Ross is still alive. He fixed Ross's heart condition. Unfortunately, he started putting more and more gamma radiation in those pills, setting up President Thunderbolt Ross to become the Red Hulk. So the movie plays out with Captain America and Falcon on the trail of the Leader, eventually finding him and trying to foil his plots. Unfortunately, the Leader's final plan is to set off Thunderbolt Ross, and Captain America has to fight the Red Hulk, barely surviving at the end. The movie, of course, ends with President Ross being locked in jail, being visited by his daughter on the raft where he will probably never escape, Sam Wilson accepting the fact that he is the new Captain America and possibly even considering restarting the Avengers. So where does the future lie for each of the characters? Sam Wilson has finally come to accept that he is the new Captain America. And while he doesn't follow the rules specifically like Steve Rogers does, he actually represents the people without power, just struggling to get along. And in a lot of ways, he's a representation of what people can achieve in the MCU even without superhuman abilities. Like I said before, he is planning on restarting the Avengers, with the first recruit being Joaquin Torres, the Falcon. Yes, Joaquin Torres had always looked up to Sam Wilson as somebody who rose the ranks of the military, and somebody who was also poor growing up. So he wanted to be just like the Falcon, and in the end, he gets to become the new Falcon. Where his story will lead from here, we'll have to see. Next up is President Thunderbolt Ross, and he is locked up in the raft. One of the things he had expressed that he had always wanted to do was to see his daughter again, Betty. And Ross gets that right before the end credits. He may not be able to be president, and he may have to live down all the crimes that he had done throughout the years, but he finally gets to rekindle the relationship with his daughter. And maybe that's all he needs for a dying old man in a jail anyways. I expect this will be the last we ever see of Thunderbolt Ross, the Red Hulk, or even Betty for that matter. This storyline is pretty much dead. And as we know, the main Hulk has already moved on. He even has a son. Now, the biggest character with a bunch of question marks will be the leader. And he is still sitting in the raft, probably across the way from Thunderbolt Ross, but more importantly, he is making predictions in the post-credit scene about the others coming to Earth. Does he mean specifically the plotline of Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, or does he mean something completely else? He could also mean the Fantastic Four, or maybe it's just the gibbering of an absolute crazy man. Nonetheless, the character was actually really enjoyable to see played out. He was truly manipulating and pulling all the strings. Unfortunately, seeing him in person, the makeup, the special effects were kinda eh. So I would hope to see him, but only in short bursts going forward. I do hope eventually he escapes. Now let's talk Wakanda. Now, Wakanda had provided the suit that Sam Wilson had used for the whole first half of this movie. In fact, it's what gives him the ability to fight the Red Hulk, having vibranium lining his wings. But here's the problem. Adamantium is now in the MCU. That is what they refer to as the Brave New World. For a new metal, a new strength has now emerged. And all the countries may currently be working together, but they will use it for new science and new super weapons. And as we know, one person will have it fused to their bones, specifically Wolverine. But there are many other characters that use adamantium in different ways. Personally, I imagine that the current Wolverine will still be Hugh Jackman going forward, but eventually we will get something different. And that's where the Brave New World will come in. But let's talk about Wakanda specifically. Wakanda's entire thing is that they have all the vibranium. In fact, that's literally the plot line of Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever, is them protecting the vibranium, specifically their economy, by having this massive weapon and this massive vault of vibranium. Now that the rest of the world has a metal that's just as strong and maybe slightly different, maybe not the sound-based elements that vibranium has, but something even stronger that could probably cut through vibranium, how will this affect Wakanda going forward? I expect this to be a huge plotline in Black Panther 3. In the end, Sam Wilson has finally come to accept that he is the new Captain America, and he will be the leader of what the new Avengers will be going forward, starting with Avengers Doomsday. What did you think of Captain America: Brave New World? Hey, thanks for watching my video. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and check out those other videos on screen now.